Hey guys, welcome back to the command center. In the command center, you will be entering your dates. So this will be for the macro date, and we're going to say that you get the program on, let's say, September 1st, 2001, and your first training session isn't going to start until, let's say, September 9th, 2001. Okay, that's your first training day, and you'll see that the end date is auto-calculated for 12 weeks later. Now, I do need to mention, and I'll mention this in a lot of the videos, you only enter in information in the yellow boxes. Don't enter information anywhere else. As a matter of fact, you won't be able to, it'll be locked. Okay, we'll get back to the command center in another video. So if this is your first video and you're seeing a lot of things you want to ask questions about, just keep a lookout for the command center video, and we'll go through everything there. Right, so we've entered in the start of the macro. Maybe that's when you get the program. And then this is our first training date. It's going to be on the 9th. Okay, the reason you need to go through that phase first is because if the dates are all messed up, it'll mess up everything. So here we have our return to play timeline. And this just helps us keep track of our players, making sure they're taking care of themselves and that you are doing what's morally right for your athletes. So let's say our athlete here, Kazama, that's me. Let's say he gets injured on day 1 of training. So we'd enter in 09, 21. And he ends up having to go to the doctor. So he goes to the doctor the next day, right? And the doctor, discharges him that same. Maybe the doctor discharges him the next day. So we would do that. Okay. Doctor says he's clear. Now he has to go to physio. So then, let's say he goes to the physio straight away. He's real keen on getting back to it, and he has to be at the physio for, let's say just a couple of days. He has to deal with the physio, right? And then after he's cleared with the physio, he then now has to work on so he's not quite fit. He's been cleared by the physio, and now you're with him. But he needs to maybe get fit or whatever, so that would be the return to play. That's information that would be entered in here, and we'll say that he started that on the 21st, and then he was it just took him a day to get cleared. Let's say it took him just a couple of days to get back into shape. Okay, and now he's ready to play. He's returning back to he's returned back to active duty. Okay, so that's all you really have to do. One of the big things to note is that if another player gets injured, so let's say Fudge gets injured here as an example, you would not put that here. You would put Fudge's information here. Okay, so even if Fudge gets injured on 10/04/21, Fudge doesn't end up going to the doctor. It's a very minor injury. Fudge just goes to the physio, so we're going to call that, let's say Fudge ends up going to the physio on the 6th. Okay, Fudge then gets cleared by the physio on the 7th, does the return to play on the 8th, and is cleared to start on the next day. Okay, that's all you would do. That's all you have to do on this sheet. So if Kudzi gets injured again, that's when you would use this column. If there's a third injury, this column, and there's room for a 4th injury in that 12 weeks. All right. So that's all there is about this column. You'll see that the number of injuries would go up for this particular phase. Since this is the first phase, there is no previous phase injuries, and then the total number of injuries is obviously going to be the same as this phase. So now I know this is a lot of kind of admin to put in, but once we go over to our chart, we'll see that obviously we got the first injury on the first. There was a gap in treatment, so just that one day went to the doctor, got put in at the doctor's office. Then he went, then this is the purple line is the physio. There's a gap. The return to play is there. Yeah, and then after the return to play, he's back to green. That means he's good to go. This is Fudge's line. So there was the injury here. Remember, we said there was a gap of a couple of days. Went straight to the physio. From the physio, went straight to the return to play protocol. And then after that, he's clear and good to go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add all this data in, just because there's so many different scenarios that we need to consider. So for example, we have the story of Fadai. He got injured on the 10th, 11th went to the doctors, 14th he got out, 21st went to the physio, 10th got out, and so on and so forth. Here we have an example of somebody who got injured and then they went straight to the physio, did their return to play. We have an example of somebody who got injured and maybe it wasn't that serious of an injury or whatever. They went straight to return to play, and then, as is likely to happen with a lot of our players, got injured again straight away, and then because they didn't take care of themselves here, got injured again straight away. Again, didn't go to the doctor or the physio, and then likely kind of got another injury, and then there's their return to play. And then lastly, we have a case where one of our athletes got injured on the 20th. They went to the physio, then they went to the return to play. Then they got injured again, and this time it was a bit more of a serious injury, so they went through this entire system of treatment. What we're going to do now is we're going to plug all that information right into there. So these are all the same dates and everything like that. And then once we go over to our chart, we'll be able to see a little bit better everyone's injury and return to play information. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. It's just a real simple, easy way of just tracking your injuries. When as time goes on and you start to see those injuries creep up, you'll be able to easily see how much time people are spending at the doctor's office, the severity of the injuries. Do you have guys healthy? If this was a squad of what, 10 people, just here in this little